So now it comes to this, amigo. You think to steal my golden dream, but I will not allow it to happen. My gratitude is yours for disabling the storms. It seems I did not require Rivan's ship to reach Ukaizo in the end. In that, you are mistaken, amigo. I care nothing for one's origins if it is not from Grand Valia. Whatever the beginning of these ruins was, there is only one possible ending. The lost city of gold will be the foundation of the future of the Principe. And you will die now for the greater good. Corres, Casita. Give my regards to the gods.
Take him down.
Flicked in the air.
That's it.
Me and you.
I've got it.
You descend into the ancient winding streets of Ukaizo. Battered by storms for thousands of years, the ruins bear the marks of their role as the lone witnesses of the gods' great secret at the center of the city. The houses and boulevards are pierced by great spears of luminous Audra. There are no ashen bodies, no birds, no sign or sound of any life. But with every step, the rhythmic pounding in the distance draws nearer. Soon, you can feel the vibration traveling up your spine. As you approach the center of the city, the weathered architecture gives way to more luminous Audra, piercing the ruins, eventually overtaking them entirely. Cresting the top of a fallen tower, you finally get a clear view of Aethys. He stands, legs astride, next to a great stone monument ringed with 11 cavernous alcoves. All but 3 hold a gargantuan skeleton, bones scrubbed clean by the city's storms. An immense Anguithan machine floats above the monument, suspended by invisible energy emanating from a well of light beneath it. Great brass rings spin around a core of metal and Audra at the machine's center. Periodically, Aethys's massive arms swing back. The movement alone is enough to draw great gusts of wind toward him. When they come down on the machine, the impacts are accompanied by eruptions of electricity, fire, and smoke. The hundreds of luminous Audra pillars across Ukaizo sympathetically dim in a rippling wave that spreads out from the machine. The only safe route to the god is a steep ascent along a monstrous pillar of luminous Audra, intertwined with fragments of Ukaizo's ruins that it has carried through the centuries. The pillar bends in a long arc, towering above the machine. The pillar levels out near Aethys's head, a silent observer to the destruction of the machine it has grown beside over thousands of years. You weave your way along.
Strange to see Ukaizo in this way. It may be hard to picture, but this city was once full of life. The Huana, yes, but also kith from many other cultures. Great hanging trees shadowed these boulevards. Gardens sprawled across the open rooftops. Each spring, a festival procession would wind its way from the hillside into this valley. The celebrants would pass through a steep walk among the stalls of foreign merchants, flowers falling upon them from all sides. All people of all nations, together in a celebration of new life. Such was the power and beauty of lost Ukaizo.
Can all of that beauty and life return to this place, Mighty One? Has the future of my people awaited them here?
Lost Ukaizo remains only in name, Tekehu. It is a name as barren as this city. If future generations wish to create life in this place, they must look forward as much as they look back.
If we don't fix this mess you're about to cause, the whole world is gonna look this bad. I mean, it's a mighty heavy load you're putting on our shoulders. I just hope we can carry it.
As long as there are people like you in this world, Adair, I truly do. This power has always been in the grasp of mortals. Now you will finally be aware of it. Now you will be able to decide what to do with it.
Gone, please, I'm begging you. What do I do following this? How am I to best serve those still living, to improve our future chances of survival?
The Deadfire and the Eastern Reach are full of animancers, women and men with brilliant minds who can solve this great problem. They will also need people with brilliant souls, like you, Shodi. People who can tend to the spiritual needs of the world in a time of fear and desperation. Remember, the flame you bear is not only light, but warmth. Provide comfort to all who need it.
What right do you have to do this? Destroy the wheel and leave us with nothing? Without even knowing what will come next?
Aloth, we are all, gods and mortals, responsible for our own actions. But inaction carries its own moral responsibility. It is a burden I have carried for far too long. One must always do as their conscience dictates, even if that means abdicating a position of power. But what of you, Watcher? Why have you followed me? Have you come to bear witness to the breaking of the wheel? Mortals are already inspired. It is what has pushed them on for hundreds of generations to reach this point in time. Animancy is poised to go far beyond what we Ingwithans ever discovered. Why does Helia think I should lend more power to mortals? As do I. From where should mortals draw their inspiration? Very well, Watcher. I will ensure that mortals are inspired by my passing, that my power not be expended in vain. I must attend to my final work now. I cannot delay any longer. You have carried a heavy burden across the Deadfire, Watcher. Before I go, I would rid you of it. You are free now, as free as any of us can be. Many will come to you for help in the years ahead. Animancers, priests, even the gods themselves. I have great hope for you, but always remember that your future is for you to decide. Use your freedom well.
Aethys squares himself to the machine. As you move to a safe distance, he draws his fists back and resumes his assault. The blows rain down with increased fervor, but the machine perseveres in spite of his efforts. Spreading his arms wide, Aethys draws power from the luminous Audra clustered around the valley. The energy courses through his body, limbs overflowing with intense light and waves of heat. He returns to his task, each strike bringing with it the sound of cracking stone and twisting metal, the flickering of luminous Audra across Ukaizo. As the ancient machine finally begins to succumb to his strength, so too does Aethys's body. Built to withstand the passage of thousands of years, the great Audra statue has finally been pushed beyond its limits. Cracks appear along the hands, then race up the arms. Aethys does not slow his assault, but continues unabated. Its brass rings twisted, the machine spins erratically but withstands the relentless barrage. Aethys stands astride it and pummels the base of the machine. Soul energy begins to flare out from the machine's heart, warping the air with the intense heat. Aethys drives his right fist into the machine's center, the core of metal and Audra. The god lets out a deafening shout, something between a cry of anguish and a roar of exultation. You see Aethys's arm shatter upward from his hand through his elbow. A flash of light and heat bursts from the core, accompanied by a cacophony of destruction. The moment passes as Aethys's shout echoes throughout the valley. Your eyes begin to recover. The god's work is accomplished. The great machine of Ukaizo has been destroyed. The wheel has been unmade. As Aethys's voice fades, the enormity of what you've accomplished sinks in. You have confronted a god. You have rediscovered the ancient city where the wheel was forged, and you have seen the wheel shattered. What comes next is uncertain, but already the legend spreads of the Watcher who survived Andra's mortar and stood toe-to-toe with Aethys. On your recommendation, Aethys disperses his essence and that of the thousands of souls within him to centers of knowledge and learning around the world. Animancers, engineers, wizards, and scholars of all stripes make astounding breakthroughs in understanding and harnessing the phenomena that govern Eora. While some of these developments prove beneficial to Kith, others are decidedly less so. But such is the price of innovation. What remains to be seen is how, indeed whether, they will restore the cycle Aethys has broken. Under Ferrante's guidance, the Principi Sen Petrena lay claim to Ukaizo and begin the difficult work of nation building. They establish a formal government around the Consuelo Mes Casitas and learn to cultivate and trade for the resources they once seized and stole. Their neighbors in the archipelago are initially reluctant to accept them, but given the ample protection that Andra's spire affords Ukaizo, they have little choice. The Valian Trading Company and the Royal Deadfire Company continue trading in the region, though they're now forced to pay tariffs to the very pirates who once robbed them. Rauatai enjoys a respite from the storms, though the Principi's control of Andra's spire remains a constant threat. Demoralized by the loss of Ukaizo, the Huana tribes fragment further. All of Queen Onikaza's work to unify her people falls apart, and foreign traders openly flout the decrees of the Kahanga crown. The mysterious deaths of Governor Clario and Storm Speaker Ikawa provoke hostilities between the Valian settlers and the Huawan residents. What starts with angry words escalates to retaliatory killings as each side blames the other. By the time anyone bothers to question the strange coincidences surrounding their deaths, including reports of a cloaked Omawi woman seen in both the port and the village, both sides have gone too far to turn back. As the conflict tears both the village and the town apart, many people, Huana and Valian alike, drift away in search of other opportunities. Many find themselves among the newly empowered Principi. After the violence they've already seen, piracy doesn't seem so bad. As the balance of power changes in Deadfire, so too does Nekataka transform. Pirates, smugglers, and other criminals flow into the city, openly flouting its laws. The Kahanga leadership takes responsibility for the welfare of the Raparu, and the Gullet starts to improve. What was once a den of crime, poverty, and illness slowly becomes a quiet haven for the Raparu. With Skiarilifus's essence still empowering the Watershapers Guild, the practice of water shaping grows and flourishes in Nekataka, and its practitioners rise in prestige. They install conveyors in the falls that run through the city and craft sculptures for every street and plaza. Thus, the Watershapers Guild becomes a power in its own right in the city of Nekataka. Your brief encounter with Letharn proves deeply influential for the children of the Dawnstars. He comes to recognize his nightmares and the scene at Hisongo as Aethys' final warning to his people. Unite in strength and faith, or perish forever. As word of Aethys' deeds at Ukaizo spreads, his fellow Dawnstars take this message to heart. The faith of the children of the Dawnstars brightens. Aethys returned to give the world the greatest gift of all, hope. In response, they continue feeding, healing, and helping the neediest in Deadfire, just as they have for decades. It remains their holy mission, and they will persevere in love and faith. Ruanu, the chieftain of the Huana at Tikawara, dies mysteriously. The tribe finds his body washed up on the same beach where Anaharu challenged him to the trial of waves. Some blame Anaharu's vengeful spirit. Others see it as Ngati's final judgment. And a few speak of a strange man seen lingering in the village. The leaderless tribe eventually scatters. Some head to Nekataka, while others seek out the Wahaki. Ships continue to disappear at the southeastern fringe of the archipelago, and stories circulate of a colony of vampires and gulls preying on their crews. Though your adventures alter the destiny of Aora and the balance of power in Deadfire, they also leave a lasting mark on those who travel at your side. Your companions find themselves changed in ways both big and small. In the days sailing back from Ukaizo, Adair keeps mostly to himself, reflecting upon the new, fragile existence his god has forced upon the world. He decides that if he knows one thing about the gods, it is that they are already plotting, and greater calamities will certainly follow. Ultimately, he chooses to remain with you on the Defiant, knowing if any mortal is to have the final word in a conflict with the gods, it will be the Watcher of Cadnua. Shodi is not a priestess who understands the meaning of subtlety. As such, she makes her girlish crush on Adair painfully obvious from the moment she first sets eyes on the strapping fighter. Early in your travels, Adair appears discomforted by her persistent flirting. He often grimaces when she sidles up to him, and he takes endless pains to keep their conversations terse and to the point. But after a little smoothing on your part to nudge them in the right direction, Adair makes an effort to view Shodi with an open mind. And Shodi begins teasing the veteran fighter in a more companionable and less amorous manner. After saving each other, seemingly lit with an inner glow, Shodi takes to a new life of mission work with gusto. She still is committed to shepherding souls forgone, but having realigned her goals with that of her fellow Dawnstars, she now endeavors to help the living as much as the dead. As you travel the Deadfire, you find her sleeping better and laughing more often. When the time comes for her to return to her temple in Nekataka, it's with a clear wistfulness and much lip-biting on her part. She leaves you with her sickle and a hastily scrawled note. It reads, "A keepsake from a path once walked. Remember me, Watcher, for I will forever dream of you." Though the two of you no longer travel together, Shodi holds fast to the memory of you in her heart, remaining your fierce and doting girlfriend, faithful even in her absence. You receive a missive for every day apart, though they often arrive in a single bundle some weeks or months past. In them, she writes of how she misses you, how you are like a fire that burns inside her, how one day surely you will be reunited again. Until then, she prays for your safety as she continues to labor in service to Gon. If Aloth has learned one thing from your adventures, it is that the forces shaping the world are vaster and more complex than he had ever imagined. and they are far beyond anyone's power to control. Thus, it is with great relief that he abandons his labors against the Leaden Key. Without Theus at the helm, it will crumble in its own time. The best he can do is stand back and allow it to happen. Seraphon seems little impacted by your journey. Always knew the gods were larger than me, he tells you, on the evening he decides to part from your company. He's too long put aside those he cares most for. He confesses over a bottle of rum, and he's got leagues to sail to make it right. The following morning, he's gone, leaving only a crude stick figure rendering of Aethys, scrawled into the hull to mark his passage. After reporting back to her superiors for the Watcher's actions against the Valian Trading Company, Pallegina is rewarded with reassignment home to the Valian Republics. She spends the next several years as the head of the household guard for the Duke of Ancense. In this role, she is often lauded for her courage and loyalty. Even with all of the praise, there are still times when she cannot help but feel she could have had more influence on what transpired in the Deadfire. Despite her good fortunes in the Deadfire, Pallegina mourns the loss of Jackalow for years. She curses herself for not finding her friend sooner, for not protecting him from Captain Tutzadl and his crew. On a few lonely nights, Pallegina composes letters to the Watcher, asking what more they could have done to save him. They are never sent. Time away from the Navy gives Maya Rua some perspective on how Rawatai conducted the Deadfire occupation. No sooner does she return to active duty than she voices her frustrations over some of the more underhanded tactics she witnessed and carried out in the name of the homeland. Her voice carries all the way to the Ranganui, who reminds his admirals that battles are won by superior tactics, but war is a battle of precedent, and winning is not always a victory. The people listen. Though Maya's covert assignment in the Deadfire is considered a success, few claim knowledge of it or openly congratulate her. She receives no praise beyond knowing glances or the occasional raised tankard from her countrymen. She never responds. She looks forward to seeing her brother again. So does Ashiza. Tekehu never intended to grasp at the destiny his coming foretold, but he finds himself doing just that. He sails from island to island as an emissary from the gods to the Huana people. The tribes welcome his message and use it to bridge their traditions across the archipelago. Huana unity has never been stronger. With Ngati's covenant firmly in mind, Tekehu feels confident enough to reshape the very Deadfire. Your farewell is short and cordial. Nothing further needs to be said, and you wish each other well. Tekehu does not look back. The sea feels restless in his absence. Your pursuit of Aethys and your journey to Ukaizo signal the end of forces that have shaped the lives of Kith and the course of nations. The cycle of reincarnation has been broken. The storms of Andra's mortar have calmed. Yet each ending promises a new beginning. As the sun rises over Ukaizo, Kith turn their gaze eastward, wondering at what lies beyond, and at the world they will fashion for themselves. As the Watcher of Cadnua and the former Herald of Bareth, you return to your ship and begin the long journey home. You hope for calm weather.